Everyone, we're going to call the meeting to order. Today is Monday, February 5th. It is 9 a.m. All council members are present. Town manager, town clerk, town attorney. Please rise for the invocation followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
As we gather here today, we pray that we are ever mindful of opportunities to render our service to our fellow citizens and to our community. We ask you to guide those who, as our government leaders, make their daily decisions that affect us, so that their efforts shall be motivated by the same great rule of charity and goodwill. Let us continue to strive to make a better world. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And just to let you know, the bathroom at the back of the room is out of service. If you need to use the restroom out by the front desk, those bathrooms are operational. Approval of final agenda. Is there a motion to approve the final agenda?
I'd like to pull a couple from the consent agenda. I'd
Yes,
like
sir.
to pull D and I, please.
Did you say B or D?
D is in dog.
D and I? Yep, and I. Any other changes? Is there a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
So moved.
Got a motion by Councilor Woodson or Councilor King? I know. You guys look so much alike. I will second
I'm
it.
sorry, Karen.
Thanks, John.
Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries unanimously. Public comment.
First up, I have Kurt Dietrich. Sorry.
Yes, I'd like to thank the council for the opportunity to come and speak. I am here to lend my support to Rude Shrimp. I understand there has been some controversy and some concern about noise issues, about disruption and so forth. My wife and I currently live on a boat in Moss Marina. We've been there 2 months. And during that time, our boat is literally 100 feet away from Rude Shrimp, and I have never heard a noise problem. I've never heard excessively loud music or any sort of crowd disruption or anything like that. Rude Shrimp has been a great neighbor. I hope they will continue to be a great neighbor. And we're just glad to have them there. So I'm here to offer my support. And then also to thank you folks, the council and the government officials as an out-of-town person who comes in during season, thank you for the hard work you've done bringing this community back. And so thank you.
Thank you, Kurt.
Marcus Free.
Good morning, Council. I would also like to thank you guys for, working hard to build Fort Myers Beach back. And I know I'm also here to talk about Rude Shrimp. I know there have been comments in the past of negative comments or complaints. I'd like to talk a little bit about the people that are behind Rude Shrimp. I, like Kurt, am a neighbor. I'm a seasonal slopeholder, and I'm probably about the same distance away from the stage and from Rude Shrimp as the previous speaker. I find them delightful people. I like the music. That set aside, I just want to give you a little insight into what kind of people they are and how they're helping to build back Fort Myers Beach. As you know, they lost a lot in the storm, like everybody did. They were able to restart in another location, which is a daunting task, of course. I've been here since August, and I went through a really difficult divorce. These people welcomed me, quickly became friends with them. And just one little instance that tells a lot about them. I actually broke my ankle riding my bicycle just right off the edge of their property. They dropped what they were doing in the middle of a busy evening, took me to an emergency room, came back and got me, And then at 5 o'clock in the morning, a few days later, took me to the hospital for surgery, picked me up, took me back to my boat, made food for me, made sure that I was okay. I think these are good people. They're hiring locals. One of the young men that work for them is homeless. He lives in his car, and he's finding an identity there in that group. I think these are really good people, and I think the noise issue is not really an issue. It's not, my understanding, it's never been in violation. And at some point, repeated baseless complaints become the problem themselves. Again, thank you for your work on Fort Myers Beach, and I hope we continue to be good neighbors.
Thank you, Marcus.
Bill Veach.
Morning, Bill.
Hi there, Bill Veach. Excuse me if I'm a little nervous with all this public speaking. Yeah, I just want to talk. I know that on your agenda is discussion about replacing me, and I'm not sure if you're going to vote on this today or not, but I just want to kind of tell you some thoughts I have on it. I think that it's important that the council has diversity that reflects the town and the people in the town. I'm here to support Barbara Hill for the position. Barbara has a really amazing history as an accomplished artist and working in the art industry. And she's been in this island, had a presence in the island from 1950s. So she has a unique perspective about this town and where it has been and where it is now. Plus, she's back in her house. She's fixed her house. She's back in it. It will not come in front of council for any kind of variance for density or height or anything. She has no business interest that could cause her any kind of potential conflicts. And she doesn't have, and there's no chance that she's going to have to recuse herself from voting on any of these issues. She's a really an amazing woman, and I think she would be a great asset for the council and give you a viewpoint. This is supposed to be a deliberative body. The decisions should be made here in discussion, and having a diverse council is good for having open discussions for the public. That's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Bill.
Chris Hayes.
Morning, everybody. I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak. This isn't only on behalf of the Rude Shrimp. I'm a professional yacht captain, and I think you all are familiar with Fishtail Marina. I rode out the hurricane there. Once I realized what was coming, I had a backup plan, which was to go to a friend's condo. And then we went up to the second floor to their condo. As it kept coming, we ended up going to the third floor. I've never seen anything like it. I've rode out a lot of hurricanes, avoided a lot, and I've never seen anything like it. And the destruction on the beach, we're going to be dealing with for at least a decade. What I want people to realize is when you look at this place, I've been on the beach now going on 7 years. My boss was partners with Al Durrett at Fishtail Marina. My boss owned the Santorini Plaza. Still non-operational. They don't have a viable business in there yet. We had to move down to Moss Marina because Big Carlos Pass Bridge is inoperable for us to get the boat under the bridge unless you call DOT and get all kinds of appointments, and if they even show up, and if the generator works for the bridge. So we moved to our location of Moss Marina. And what I ask is, what are we selling on the beach? What are we manufacturing? We don't have it. It's not an industrial. This is selling people an opportunity to come down here and vacation and have a memorable experience. And I spent 10 years in the restaurant business paying for my college. And I have an understanding of how hard it is to operate a business, keep employees, have a perishable inventory, create something with that so people enjoy it, come back, get on their phones, tell their friends. And one of the things I see is I can't believe some of the things that, people are trying to almost block when they're in the right, they have the permits, they're in a location that allows it. I've never noticed that the music or people being there was so loud to where, it was uncomfortable, or the vibe that you got in the place. We had a temporary generator.
Need you to wrap up, Chris.
Okay.
3 minutes are up.
Okay, sorry about that. We had a temporary generator out there to supply power to 5 of the boats on that dock. I can tell you that decibel level on that generator was much louder than the music or for people that were there. So that's gone. Thank God we got it cleared up with Florida Power and Moss Marina coming in and fixing that. But I just want us to remember that we're selling memories on this beach. That's what we're selling.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Steve Johnson.
Good morning, Council, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Council. I'm here representing the Mosquito Control, Fort Myers Beach Mosquito Control District, and just wanted to provide you an update on the forced merger, House Bill 967. To begin, I just want to extend from our district our sincerest gratitude for the support letter you provided. It became the backbone, really, of our portfolio of arguments opposing the forced merger. And on January 31st, it was to start its legislative process. And so we traveled up, and fortunately it was tabled. So we're not sure it'll make it through this legislative session or not, but for any part that you've provided in helping support the local district, we just would like to thank you. So, thanks.
Grace Workman.
My name is Grace Workman.
Grace, can you just pull it a little bit closer to the microphone? You can bend it towards you. There you go.
Okay,
It's a little easier to hear you.
I'm not used to, I hate public speaking, so I'm really nervous.
I know how you feel.
Anyway, my name is Grace Workman. I live at 194 Coconut Drive, and I've lived on the island for 64 years. My husband and I bought the house that I live in now in 1987. It's a single-family house on a single-family street. But I'm asking today if I could build 5 single-family homes on top of mine to keep it all single-family. Each story would be a single-family home. And these are regular homes for regular people, not tourists. They'd be people living there 12 months out of the year. I have over a 10,000 square foot lot, and I live in a very modest home. So there's a lot of room for parking and everything in my yard. The reason I'm asking for this is the cost of insurance and inflation and the infrastructure that we're going to have on Fort Myers Beach due to all the big high rises that are coming on the island. It's hard for a poor old widow woman like me to make ends meet anymore. So I was wondering if I could have these extra homes on my property to help make my life a little easier. With all the increase in density that's coming to the island, I'd like to have a little bit too. So I'd like to invite each one of you over to my home, not on the same day, because I don't want to break the sunshine law, but to have drinks on my porch, and we could talk about and discuss how I can get this project through on Fort Myers Beach. It's really going to be an asset. It is. It's going to be an asset. And I will talk to my neighbors and see if they'll go along with it. I live between two castles. It's just a little fishing shack that I live in. I don't think that any of my neighbors or anybody in this room would think I'm trying to bribe you by having you come over and us discuss this meeting in a little meeting, just y'all, and bring your wives and your husbands and whoever you want. Bring friends, bring your kids. They can fish on my dock. Bring everybody over. And we'll just sit down and talk about this project I've got in my mind. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
I'm going to
Joyce.
give y'all my name and address so you'll know where to come for drinks.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you, Grace. Oh, I get two. Frankie, I can't forget you.
She trusts you.
You were my man, my first man that gave me some hope.
There you go. Thank you.
That's all I have signed up.
Is there anyone else that'd like to? Yes, sir.
Morning, guys. Marty Bartow, Bahia Via. I was wondering what was going on with the meeting last week concerning the outrigger. I thought you guys said we were going to stick to the LPA plans. Why would someone come and mislead us and do a presentation that was completely like out of right field from everything that's been discussed? I'm really confused. Why did that happen? Why did we waste everybody's time? Question, Dan.
Well, we don't usually have public comment back and forth.
Oh,
but-
I'm sorry.
During public comment,
Okay.
but we could certainly,
I just remember the outrigger looked like this. And I don't remember seeing like a city around it. It's the most beautiful piece of property on the island right now. Why would we build a city there? With all that density and all those buildings, it's just bizarre. I thought we already agreed. The planning commission, the original plan, wasn't that it? Thank you.
thank you, Marty. Is there anyone else that would like to speak? Seeing none, we'll close public comment. Local achievements and recognitions. Council Whitson?
Ah, all right. I had to start first today, huh? No, I just think this is, I'm excited for this year. And I think this is the year that we're going to see build back and change and things approved or not approved. And I just want to commend everybody on the hard work they've been putting in. We had our extra farmers market this Saturday, which I think was a huge success again. So now we have 3 going on. We still have the concerts at Bayside Park, and I was not able to make it, but we drove past it on the way off the island. It was packed. So, I mean, things are moving forward. They're positive. We're going to have, the Shrimp Fest again. I haven't heard anything yet about St. Patty's Day parade, but I might be putting that bug in Jeff's ear. But I just want to thank all the citizens for your resiliency, your positive attitude. Keep moving forward. Let's keep making this work. We've got a lot of work to do, but we're going to get there.
Vice Mayor?
Good morning. I would first like to recognize and thank all the applicants for the open town council position. We have an excellent group of residents who have a wide variety of work and life experiences. Thank you for having the courage of your convictions and being willing to step into what Teddy Roosevelt described as the arena. And we're thankful that you're here this morning and participating in the process. I will again thank all of the residents and the visitors who are taking the extra couple minutes to use the pedestrian walkover at Crescent and Estero. It's a couple extra minutes of your time. It's a beautiful view, but you're really helping your fellow residents and our visitors keep that traffic moving. So I just want to thank you for taking the extra time to utilize that overpass. That's all I've got. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councilor King?
Like the vice mayor, I wanted to recognize the 5 residents who submitted their names for consideration regarding the council opening. Ed Schoonover, Scott Safford, Barbara Hill, Sal Padone, Jim Bone. In this day and age, the easiest thing to do is sit on the stands and criticize. You're able to come forward, and you should be commended for that. We appreciate you stepping up and stepping forward, and thank you.
That it? All right. Well, everybody has covered mine, so we'll move on. I have this proclamation we have here that we're going to read into record. As soon as I find my glasses again.
Here.
Town of Fort Myers Beach proclamation. Whereas Kim and Ed Ryan for several years have been promoters of Fort Myers Beach with their podcast Beach Talk Radio. And whereas during Hurricane Ian, Kim and Ed Ryan utilized Beach Talk Radio as a lifeline, not only to inform residents and visitors of news, but to raise money and supplies. And whereas Ed and Kim Ryan continue to utilize Beach Talk Radio to inform, and they continue to raise tens of thousands of dollars for Fort Myers Beach organizations. Now therefore be it proclaimed by the Town Council of the Town of Fort Myers Beach, Florida, that we hereby recognize Kim and Ed Ryan as honorary citizens and thank Beach Talk Radio for their ongoing contributions to the Town of Fort Myers Beach. Given under my hand and the seal of the office of mayor this 5th day of February, 2024. Ed, come on up. Picture? Yeah. Get up, get in the picture.
I thought you guys were sitting in the picture.
No, come on.
I'll
in.
get to get in the action.
Come on. Thanks, Ed.
Mr. Mayor, is there opportunity to comment on that?
Yes, sir.
I wanted just to make an observation. It's been fascinating to watch this post-Ian iteration of Beach Talk Radio. It's really a mix, in my opinion. It's a mix of C-SPAN, Good Morning America, and the McLaughlin Group, and they've blazed new trails.
Wrong.
Morton, yeah. They've blazed a lot of new trails on the public information front, and quite frankly, I would think any PIO or public information officer from any city and town should look at what they've done as a potential model for a post-disaster communication strategy. I just think about this past week or so, we've had all 5 applicants for the council interviewed live for the public to see. We've had live coverage of the presentations on the outrigger, the state's foot of the bridge transportation project. We've had live updates on the pier, Times Square, and the Tier 1 stormwater projects from the town, all while promoting charitable causes on the beach. That's all in the past week or so. So as Abraham Lincoln once said, let the people know the facts and the country will be saved. I just want to personally thank Ed and Kim for all that they do. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Anyone else? John?
Yeah, Ed doesn't like to be thanked. And I think it's people of a certain generation, especially of the male gender. But you and your wife go above and beyond and have for quite a while. And not only charitable organizations, but you promote the businesses, and you just do a fantastic job of promoting the island. And thank you very much.
Yeah, I mean, I will just add my 2 cents. I love to be stumped by Mr. Ed when I'm on Beach Talk Radio because he always puts the zingers at you. He calls you to stand at attention and really give your honest opinion. And if he doesn't get enough out of you, he keeps going back after you. And I think that's what a journalist does, gets to the truth. And I just really appreciate all that you have done, you and Kim both. Kim especially, but appreciate all that you guys have done for the beach. Thank you.
Well, I'll just keep it short. I can't see you, but thanks, Ed. Since the day after the storm, you've been down here and helping us get the information out as fast as we can and as accurate as we can. So continue the great work, and maybe Kim will give you some hair treatment or some hair tips to get you going forward this year and grow out some of that hair. Maybe next year we'll see a mullet.
Ooh.
No? All right. All right. Thanks. Advisory committees, items, reports, and appointments. Public Safety Committee. John? Dawn sent me a message this morning. She's not feeling well, so she said you'll be able to.
Jim Bagoulis, Public Safety
Oh,
Committee.
Jim, sorry. Called you
I'm
Jim.
here on behalf of the Public Safety Committee. Don Thomas, the chair, had a bug and could not make it today. So her plan was to provide you with an update and our priorities and focus areas for the Public Safety Committee's commitments for 2024. She promised to come back at the next town council and provide that with you, and we hope she feels better soon. So one of the topics that wanted to double click on was an idea that we had was how to improve emergency response time after a hurricane. And as the presentation comes up, so just as while that's calling up, I could just talk through it.
Sure.
So one of the ideas we had was, how do we improve that emergency response time after a hurricane? And, if kind of rewind a little background, after Hurricane Ian, our first responders did a great job going door to door, looking for survivors that needed medical attention. And one of the things that we talked as a public safety committee was, how do we actually improve that response time? And a big question that came up was, okay, well, how do we know who's here? Who are the residents? Who are the guests that are still on the island, and where are they located? So if you look at the way how we operate today, Lee County, Fort Myers Beach communications through the Code Red Alert system, Beach Talk Radio, they communicate one way. So a lot of the information comes out about evacuation routes, what's happening as far as the storm and location of the storm. But a lot of that communication is outwards to everybody through social media channels, through communication. And what we wanted to talk through is, how do we establish a two-way communication? So when you communicate out, how do you get a response from subscribers, from people that are saying, yes, I am staying on the island? So what we're proposing is to initiate this two-way communication with subscribers, our existing Code Red Alert system. So it exists today. And what we want to do is have this communicate through this two-way, and there's an example when it comes up of how that could work. But the benefit that we find that is included in this is that it allows first responders to know where people are during a hurricane and after a hurricane, so that they could target those locations first. Yeah, it's pretty small, but I'm in the benefits section of this presentation, and what we want to do is get to a point where first responders know who's staying on the island, and that they could go to those locations first to make sure the people there are safe and they're okay, and then would continue with their door-to-door checks as we meter people back on the island. What we've done is also looked at other systems. And like I mentioned before, most of those systems that exist already are one-way communications. So how does this all work? Just to speed this up a little bit. So we have over 10,000 people signed up right now on the Code Red Alert system today. So what they would do is, as a subscriber, right before hurricane season, what we propose is that they receive a text message similar to like what Xfinity does when you have an appointment and they're coming over to fix your TV and system. They'll send a note over to you. We would say, it would be just a question. Are you a resident of the island? Are you, and if you say yes, then they'd say, okay, what location are you at? So through that communication, you can start establishing, okay, who's still a resident, who's actually located at certain addresses. So when a hurricane does happen, we are then right away sending a note off to say, are you staying on the island? And if you say no, that's fine. If you say yes, then there'll be a follow-up question saying, okay, what address are you staying? Like, how many people in your party? That way, that information would go directly to first responders, fire department, police department, Lee County, to say, here's a list of people that are staying on the island, and to check those homes first after a hurricane. Then overall, we would do this, maybe update this whole list every hurricane season, every June. We would come back to that just to make sure if people have moved on, we can correct our files. But it would be a, an annual program that we go out and to maintain the system. But it's one way that we've been coming as a public safety committee to say, how do we, improve that response time, understand who's here, how do we make sure those people get the help as quick as possible. So what is our next steps? So right now is to conduct a pilot test. So I'm still waiting for the public information officer to be hired so I can conduct a code red alert system on a small scale with some staff members just to make sure this communication style works. And then second was to review this with you today, just to provide you with some overview of what we're thinking, what we're planning. And then from there, we'll come back and give you a little bit more highlights in, say, May, June time period when we review the emergency response systems and make sure that complements what the town manager is doing as well, so that, everything is then put together and working well together and as we approach hurricane season this year. And that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much.
Question?
Oh,
Good.
sure.
Vice Mayor.
Just a comment. First of all, thank you for your good work. It's not only excellent from a public safety standpoint, which I know is your focus, but the quicker we can get those first responders in and out, and the quicker we can get our folks back to the island to get tarps up, get generators going, and fight the mold issue, we significantly reduce property damage to the island. So I commend you for the public safety piece of this, but I know the town manager's working on a plan, broader plan, but boy, that sure helps us on the property damage issue as well by getting our folks back to do those immediate repairs, get power back in their places. So it has a number of benefits. Obviously, the most important one, public safety, but I think there's some great side benefits to that as well. So thank you for your efforts.
Yeah, thank you.
Any questions for Jim?
No, I think it was a great presentation. I love the ideas.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. If there's a way that we can expand it even, Code Red is great, but unless you're opting to be in it, information in is only out is only as good as the information that goes in.
Yeah.
If there's a way that we can, through the Public Safety Committee, come up with an idea to be able to reach out to the hotels, to be able to reach out to because there will be visitors here if we ever get another storm. It would be nice to know, a head count. How many people do you expect to be in? That would be valuable information, I would think, as well. Also, how much space would be available should there need to be, emergency people moved to a location, one of the resorts or one of the hotels on the island, to be able to, to have to keep going on and off the island. You could get them to a place to triage or do whatever they may need to do. So if you could just add that to your list of things in here, but great presentation and good job.
Okay. Thanks,
Even
Dan.
short-term rentals, which you could come up with through
Yes.
the licensing department, because tourists are going to be here and you want them to go, but you want,
Yeah.
it would be great if we could cover all gamuts, not just people who are residents here.
Also maybe reach out to the condos as well
Yeah.
about their visitors.
Okay.
You got your hands full, Jim.
Yes, I do. That's great.
We just added
Great
like 5
builds.
different
Yeah.
facets.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we'll definitely take that in consideration. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thanks, Jim.
Great job.
Marine Environment and Resource, Murph. Steve is still here.
Morning, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of Town Council, and staff. I'm here to give you a Murph Advisory Board update on some priority items you've asked us to look into. We held our last meeting January 19th and have come up with some recommendations as you requested. First was to recommend the use of herbicide in the EC zone. Essentially, there is an ordinance in place that does not allow the destruction of dune plants. In this particular situation, the consideration of the request is really from the FWC and the partners and the property owners participating in the Carlos Beach Temporary Refuge Stewardship Plan. So that's the sort of the birding area down in Carlos Beach. They have an issue down there with sand spurs and also crow's foot grass, and need to eliminate those so they don't interfere with the breeding season. Our recommendation is favorable to allow the use. The recommendation is for a single application in 2024. They've been using it for 2 years now. I know 2 years ago the council approved, and so we're here to recommend reapproval. This is an exception, as I mentioned, to the ordinance. In addition, a recommendation that staff was offering and will organize a mechanical removal for more effectiveness of the sand spurs and crowsfoot grass. And ideally, an alternative would be sought for the future nesting seasons to avoid herbicide use in the EC zone. And currently, this application is targeted for application in late March. So that's our first recommendation. The second you'd asked us to look into is the recommendation to remove invasive species in the EC zone. And unanimous recommendation to absolutely to remove specifically Australian pines, which are targeted for removal, along with in the EC zone, as well as private property with the owner's permission. Allow the limited use of herbicide to paint the larger stumps on those Australian pines so they don't re-sprout. In addition, any property owners wishing to EC zone is in fact privately owned. I'd say the grand majority of it. EC zone is in fact privately owned. I'd say the grand majority of it, really, since the in the grand majority of the island, the erosion control line actually is at the edge of the water. So everything is private, really, from the edge of the high mean water line to the seawalls or to their property. So I'd say actually the majority of it is probably on private property.
So in the area that is public, are there things that the public can do as they're walking along the beach? Could we educate folks to
grouping us with only Lee County, where we have a 3% voting block. So that's good news.
Steve, since you've opened, or somebody's opened that door, which is good, do you want to give us a little mosquito update on Fort Myers Beach? I know that's not why you're here this morning, but it seems like things have gotten a little better. Can you talk about what's happening on the island in terms of mosquito eradication efforts? I know you've did a couple site visits. I was part of one where you were kind enough to come out and look at a situation
To move forward, knowing that there's a bill in place place that would eventually change the future of the mosquito control district. So, the staff continues to move forward, and we do have requested the appointment of a new commissioner. We did have a gentleman step forward. His name is Jim Murphy. He's a long time resident of the island in the construction trades, and probably a perfect fit for our near future. So we're waiting for
Discuss.
Discuss
Okay.
item D. Which was pulled from the
D and
consent
I.
agenda. D and I.
Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda
Aye.
with items D and I pulled by Counselor King?
So moved.
Got a
Second.
motion by Counselor Witchin, second by Counselor King. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. Motion carries unanimously. Item D, John?
I just wondered if, since we had just started adding
talked, I guess, Thursday. Or whenever, I guess it was Friday when I notified you that they had some of his seasoned I guess it was Friday when I notified you that they had some of his seasoned officers had
Was the office, I think he was an officer that was like at the base of the bridge and dancing. He was so much fun. He kept that traffic going and had such a good vibe going, and nobody cared about sitting in traffic because it was just entertaining. So, but yeah, he was
He had some
amazing
moves.
as well.
there we go.
I think to talk about, just real quick, what you were talking about, Andy, is the pilot thing for the weekend, had 2 deputies there because of the volume of traffic and the
Correct.
pedestrians crossing that they didn't feel that one deputy could hand it, so they wanted to try it
Correct.
this weekend, but I haven't heard how they felt it went or not.
I haven't heard either. I haven't heard anything really negative either. So I'll cover it with Captain he's probably watching, so we'll get in contact
And-
after this.
And where are we with our training our own people? I know that was a item on the last agenda.
Yes, ma'am. Our Neighborhood Services Department, Tom Yazzo, Mike Suick, the two managers of that department, have organized a training class coming up here, I believe, in a week. And all our staff will be trained in traffic too, not to be full-time, but to be fill-ins when we need to or in emergency cases. Correct. And I also will be taking that class and get
You'll
them
be out there?
So, yes.
All right. Is there a motion to approve Resolution 24-22?
So moved.
Got a motion by Counselor King.
I'll second.
Seconded by Counselor Woodson. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries unanimously. Item I, settlement agreement. John,
This came to us late last week, and I was just hoping to hear.
Was basically negotiated between the parties. The actual resolution is to provide for the temporary closure of the dune walkover, to put limitations on activities during nesting season. There's a separate quiet title action, which was dismissed, and there would be issuing a license, and our recommendation would be that the town consider approving it as well, and moving forward.
I just got a message. Our video feed is not working. You're aware? You got it? Okay.
any other questions for Nancy?
None for me.
Just to clarify, there's no cost to the town, correct? There's no financial money going either direction? from what
No, I
read?
did not see that as one of the terms,
Okay.
correct.
I just want to say that my understanding on this is there was a lot of input that was done by the citizens, the residents of the south end of the island, really pushing for this settlement with the Audubon. And I don't know the details of that or what exactly all happened, but I really want to give a shout out and recognition for them to, they believed wholeheartedly in something and they went after it. And I really appreciate that kind of citizenship for our community.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the settlement agreement?
So moved.
Got a motion by Counselor King,
Second,
second by Counselor Woodson. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries unanimously. The next two items on our agenda are public hearings for review of various land use requests. For the benefit of the public, please be aware that these items are quasi judicial in nature. Our attorney will further explain.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So zoning revisions, special exceptions, variances, these are, as the mayor mentioned, quasi judicial in nature. And this requires that our public hearing comply with some procedural requirements that have been established in Florida law as well as in our land development code. So these are quasi judicial proceedings, meaning that they are less formal than court proceedings, but they are more formal than the remainder of our meeting. And we follow basic standards of due process that requires notice, the application of the correct standards, and the decisions by the town council will be made on competent substantial evidence that is presented to them in written documents or in oral testimony. Once they receive that evidence, they will evaluate it for each item and then draw a conclusion as to whether the criteria that is in the land development code or state law has been satisfied. So pure speculation or opinion, not based on competent facts, cannot be legally considered by the town council in evaluating an agenda item. So we ask you to take that into consideration if you are intending to provide testimony on these two items. Testimony by professionals who have been qualified as experts in a particular area has been considered to be competent substantial evidence by the Florida courts, as well as testimony by neighbors and residents who may have fact-based information such as minutes, surveys, engineering report, or based on their personal knowledge and experience. So if you intend to speak, please keep these comments in mind. And when you come forward, please state your name clearly for the record and whether or not you have been sworn in and your qualifications or your interest in the agenda item. And so for purposes of efficiency, at the beginning of these quasi-judicial hearings, we will be disposing of a few housekeeping matters. First of all, Madam Town Clerk, were all the agenda items properly noticed pursuant to our land development code?
Yes, they were.
Thank you. And at this time, if any council member has a conflict of interest that might prohibit them from voting on any of these two items, please disclose that now for the record so we can assure that we do have a quorum present when the item comes up for review. Are there any conflicts?
Counselor King,
None.
Vice Mayor Adderall?
None.
Counselor Woodson?
None.
I do have one with the first one, ordinance 24-01. I did fill out the Form 8 at the first reading. Do I need to fill out a second? Okay, we'll fill that out.
And for the record, could you just state the nature of the conflict?
I have
Whatever box you checked.
I have a business contract with the applicant.
Okay, thank you. So with that said, Mayor, I think the Vice Mayor then would be handling that item
Okay.
as we go forward.
It's not what we did last
Yeah,
time.
that's not what we did last time.
Procedurally.
Oh, you just didn't vote.
I just didn't vote.
Okay, that's fine. That works just as well. So our next process wise is we do need to go ahead and swear in anyone who is intending to give testimony on any of the two quasi judicial items before us. So would anyone please stand?
Okay, if you'd all raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you. All parties have been sworn.
Thank you, Mayor. I think it's
Okay.
reading the title of the.
Yes, this is
item.
a long one. The ordinance 24-01 amendment to revise previously approved conditions of approval contained in ordinance 18-04 and 23-09. This is the second reading and public hearing of an ordinance entitled, "An Ordinance of the Town of Fort Myers Beach, Florida, amending Town of Fort Myers Beach Ordinance Number 1804 and amending the conditions for the commercial plan development zoning for the property located at 1170, 1180, and 1192, 1204/1206 Estero Boulevard, 251 Crescent Street, 1150 Fifth Street, and unaddressed parcels generally identified as strap number 24-46-23-W3-00205.0070, MCP parcel number 3, 24-46-23-W3-00006.0000, MCP parcel number 1, 24-46-23-W3-00206.0060, MCP parcel number 1, 24-46-23-W3-00009.0000, MC parcels number 2 and number 5, 19-46-24-W4-U0494.2609, MCP parcel number 2, 24-46-23-W3-00205.0070, 19-46-24-W4-U0491.2610, MCP parcel number 2, 19-46-24-W4-0140B.0070, MCP parcels number 2 and number 5, 19-46-24-W4-U0496.2608, MCP parcel number 2, and 19-46-24-W4-U0498.2607, MCP parcels number 2 and number 6, Fort Myers Beach, providing for other clarifications as necessary, providing for conflicts of law, Scrivener's errors, severability, and providing for an effective date.
Deep breath.
Good job.
If any town council member has any ex parte communication to disclose, please let us know the subject discussed and the identity of the person, group, or entity with whom the communication took place, any correspondence that you received, or observations made of the site. Councilor King?
None.
Vice Mayor Adderholt?
I had none prior to the first reading, but prior to the second reading, I went to the ribbon cutting for the pool area for Margaritaville, and I had a conversation and a little tour from the owner of the facility at that point.
Councilor Woodson?
None.
Okay. Sarah Prost has been qualified as an expert already by the town and is based on her education and experience, has been accepted as an expert in the field of use, planning, and development in the town of Fort Myers Beach. Are there any other individuals who would like to be qualified as an expert witness on behalf of the applicant at this time? Has the property owner applicant seen a copy of the agenda and backup materials from staff? They have. Will the staff please proceed?
Good morning, Sarah Probst. My apologies for the very long title.
Getting good at it.
TPI FMB LLC has applied for an amendment to Ordinance 2401, the ordinance that amended Ordinance 1804, which was the ordinance that approved the development of the Margaritaville commercial plan development. The requested amendment includes Condition 6, Schedule of Uses, correcting an error to the name of the plan sheets. Condition 12F, allowing the use of the beach club and outdoor patios until 10 p.m. with amplified music no later than 9 p.m. The condition previously limited use of this area to 1 hour after dark or 9 p.m. at the latest. And 12G, clarifying the aquatic venue is limited to 325 people per day. This condition previously indicated the limit applied to the beach club. So just a change from beach club to aquatic venue. And condition 18B, again, changing the beach club closing time till 10 p.m. from the previous 1 hour after dark or 9 p.m. limitation. This is the second hearing for this ordinance amendment. The LPA recommended approval of the request. Staff is available for any questions you may have, and the applicant is also here.
All right. Questions for Sarah? Councilor King?
None.
Vice Mayor Adderholt?
Not at this time.
Councilor Woodson?
None.
All right. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
Would the applicant please proceed with your presentation?
Good morning, Tom Torgerson, 301 Palermo Circle. The LPA spent a considerable amount of time on this issue and really did really good work on it, involved the neighbors, the community, and made some tweaks, some modifications in that process. The first reading at the council, I think memorialized their acceptance or supportive of those changes and tweaks. And I really wasn't thinking, unless you want a presentation, that I think you probably have it down pretty well. But I'm here to answer any questions and just be available.
Any questions for Tom? Counselor Woodson?
I'm good at this point.
Vice Mayor Adderholt?
I would just say for folks who didn't watch first reading but are just watching now, we had an extensive presentation at first reading, lots of questions, and it was very clear that the owners of the facility had been in negotiations with the neighbors and found a nice compromise, and I think we're in a good place. But thank you for being here.
Counselor King?
Nothing from me.
All right. Thanks, Tom.
Thank you.
Are there any members of the public who wish to comment on this matter? If so, please come forward to the podium and identify yourself, provide your address and whether you were sworn in. Any public comment? Seeing no public comment, I assume there's no rebuttal from either side. All right, I will now close the public hearing and request a discussion or a motion from town council to approve with conditions, deny with reasons, or a continuance to a time certain.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move approval of ordinance 24-01, amendment to revise previously approved conditions of approval contained in ordinance 18-04 and 23-09.
Second.
A motion by Vice Mayor Adderholt, seconded by Councilor King. Any further discussion? The roll call vote, Vice Mayor Adderholt,
Aye.
Councilor King,
Aye.
Councilor Woodson,
Aye.
and Mayor Allers is abstaining. Motion carries 3-1 with Mayor Allers abstaining. Congratulations.
You did better on the long form.
Well, it's because it was right in front of me. It was easy. All right. Our next item is ordinance 24-2202, DCI rezoning of 202-30160, 1301 Estero Boulevard. This is the second reading and public hearing of an ordinance entitled, an ordinance of the town of Fort Myers Beach, Florida, approving with conditions, or denying the commercial plan development, CPD, zoning for the property located at 1301 Estero Boulevard, generally identified as strap number 19-46-24-W4-0060B.0160 Fort Myers Beach, providing for other clarifications as necessary, providing for conflicts of law, scrivener's errors, severability, and providing for an effective date. If any town council member has had any ex parte communication to disclose, please let us know the subject discussed and the identity of the person, group, or entity with whom the communication took place, any correspondence that you received, or observations made of the site. Councilor King?
None in addition to the first reading.
None.
Just been by the property many, many times.
Know the property and had emails at the first reading, but not since.
Yeah, same for me on the first reading.
Yes. Sarah Prost has been qualified as an expert already by this town council, and based on her education and experience has been accepted as an expert in the field of land use, planning, and development in the town of Fort Myers Beach. Are there any other individuals who would like to be qualified as an expert witness on behalf of the town at this time? You guys were the first reading. Do they need to do it again?
No, they were previously qualified, as has Sarah been.
Okay,
so they're
perfect.
fine.
Has the property owner applicant seen a copy of the agenda and backup materials from staff? Yes, they have. Will the staff please proceed?
Good morning, Sarah Probst with Community Development. The Neighborhood Company, on behalf of 7-Eleven, the property owner for 1301 Estero Boulevard, has applied for a commercial plan development rezoning to redevelop the property on the corner of Palermo Circle and Estero Boulevard with a convenience store. The downtown zone property was the site of a 7-Eleven store prior to Hurricane Ian. A convenience store is allowed by right in the downtown zoning district. However, the request requires several deviations from the land development code for the site design. The proposed development requires a deviation from section 34706D to allow access from Estero Boulevard and Palermo Circle. The code requires that if a site has access to a secondary street and Estero, that the access must be from the secondary street. A deviation from 34-2013A3 to allow curb cuts wider than 25 feet. The proposed driveway curb cuts are 60 feet on Palermo and 35 feet on Estero Boulevard. A deviation from vehicle access separation requirements in section 10-285, the code requires a minimum separation distance on Estero Boulevard of 250 feet. However, the access points on Estero are 52 feet from Palermo's center line and 141 feet from the access point to the east of the 7-Eleven site. On local streets, 125 feet is required, and the proposed site would provide access 52 feet from the Santos Road intersection and 105 from the Estero Boulevard section. A deviation from section 34706A to allow parking in front of the building, a deviation from 342020 D2I 1 to allow 8 parking spaces where the code would require 14. The number of parking spaces proposed actually matches up with the downtown parking reduction. However, the reduction has to be requested due to the CPD zoning request. A deviation from section 34705A1 to reduce the required commercial building frontage from 50% to 43%, and a deviation from section 342015-5, which does not allow vehicles to back into the right-of-way to allow the northernmost parking space to back into the Palermo right-of-way. At the first town council hearing on January 22nd, a concern regarding the dumpster location and the dumpster enclosure height was discussed. An additional deviation has been added to allow for the dumpster enclosure to be 7 feet tall. The maximum allowed code height is 6 feet. Changes have also been incorporated into the master concept plan to accommodate the dumpster access from Palermo Circle instead of Santos. The proposed development request should be evaluated according to section 3485B and C and 34216 of the LDC. Deviations must be approved, modified, or rejected per the findings in section 34216-4. Staff's application of these evaluative code sections to the proposed development are found in the staff report. Staff notes that the parking space that backs onto Palermo Circle right-of-way causes concern, and a condition is proposed to ensure that drivers are aware of their surroundings when backing out of this parking space. This is the second hearing of the ordinance. The LPA recommended approval of this request with the conditions included in the staff report. Staff is available for any questions you may have, and the applicant is also here.
Counselor King, questions for Sarah?
I have none.
Vice Mayor Earl?
None at this time.
Not at this time.
Well, the question I have is, I missed it on the first one. I'm glad you said it again on this one. Is you said that they meet the parking requirements based on the discount from the downtown district, but they still have to come for the deviation. Why?
Because whenever somebody requests a CPD, they're requesting it based, if it's a commercial use, they have to, if it's a commercial retail use, I think that they have to meet the CB, the commercial boulevard district requirements. So the downtown requirements don't apply. If they were just using the downtown zoning district and just asking for some variances, they wouldn't have to ask for that specific variance. It's just an interesting tweak in the code.
Sure. But to your point, they are meeting the requirements.
Yes.
Based on the code.
Yeah.
Okay. That's all I have. Thanks.
And I actually do have a question now that I think about it. So you just said that the dumpster, for removal of the dumpster, it would now come off of Palermo and not Santos?
Yes.
So they've changed the location?
Yes.
Okay.
And the new master concept plan should be in the file.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks. Applicant, go ahead.
Good morning, Mayor, Council. Like I had before, we do have some slides that we added to our prior presentation. So I have hard copies, if that would be easier for you to refer to.
Vice Mayor likes the hard copies.
Bring them on.
Yeah.
Oh, it's Mount Outerholt. No.
Or he's got stock in a paper mill. Sir.
Tree killer.
Yeah. No, I wasn't going that.
Oh, that's what I wear it with pride.
Yeah.
Great.
Go ahead.
Yep. Again, for the record, I'm Ken Galander with the Neighborhood Company, here with our team, representatives from J.R. Evans Engineering, Creighton Construction. So I'm just going to move forward. What I'd like to do, I've been sworn in and found as an expert as well. I'm going to jump to actually slide 16. Our prior presentation is exactly the or same as part of this. To start off, also, we are in full agreement with the staff report and recommendation. But, so let's jump to, if I can get there.
Actually 17.
Oh, 16's the old one.
16,
17's the
yeah.
new one.
17 is the new one.
Oh, boy. It's a little delay. So this slide is what we proposed prior, the master concept plan, which did have the orientation of the dumpster enclosure, which is at this location, mainly impacting that intersection of Palermo and Santos. So over the last couple of weeks, we took your advice, we listened, we wanted to understand exactly what was going on out there. As referenced, there were some utility locations that we wanted to look further into, and also received the emails just so we understood what the neighbors were talking about. And a lot of it was that impact along Santos. So what could we do to orient that away from Santos? This is our new, we did our best we could to orient it as much as we could towards Palermo. This does result in us having to move and relocate those utilities. We've worked with those utility companies. They understand what we're going to be doing. So we'll just have to go through that process, and we're willing to do that. So what this, let me continue on here. Let me move to the next slide. This slide shows us what our group did, and it shows the vehicle or the garbage truck. And this is the turning movements that would make to access that dumpster, which you can see through that analysis, it's not going down or impacting Santos Street. So a lot of, unfortunately, some of these smaller properties and just the orientation of having to get to dumpsters, you're going to have to do a little maneuvering, but this is a best case scenario for our situation. I'm trying.
Technology.
Whoop. Again, this shows a representation of the green areas where we will be establishing plantings and landscaping to soften more of that look of the enclosure. Especially a significant portion of that is along the Santos right-of-way. Again, the requirement for buffers is there's no requirement, but we are adding a type A buffer all along this portion and Santos and along the backside. So this whole area would have a component of your type A buffer requirement as part of your code. And then supplementing that with additional landscaping plantings within those green areas. And as Sarah mentioned before, we worked with them to establish deviation number 8 to increase that dumpster height as per your motion. And so with that, we are in full agreement again with the staff report recommendation. We appreciate your input, the input we received, and I believe we've addressed them and be happy to answer any further questions you may have.
Questions for applicant? Vice Mayor?
I just, first of all, Ken, thank you for being so responsive to the concerns of the neighborhood. If I could digress, is the gentleman from 7-Eleven here with your group today?
Unfortunately, Mark Heron, he had to travel back to Dallas, and a representative cohort was supposed to attend, but I got an email this morning about 4 o'clock that he had a family emergency. So unfortunately.
And that's totally fine. Is anyone in particular communicate with Mark on a regular basis?
Yes.
Is that you?
We all do.
Could you just, this is not germane to this proceeding, well, it's sort of germane, but not really. Again, thank you for this presentation. It's very good, very responsive. But the 7-Eleven on the south end of the island, which could potentially be our first source of gasoline on the island, I just wanted you to share with the 7-Eleven folks that the contractor that they've hired, the subcontractor to rebuild that store, has done a great job. And they are They were there Saturday and Sunday this past weekend, just really going to town on that facility. So we appreciate that. And as soon as they can open that, we'll have gas for folks on the island. And if you just send that back, that we appreciate. I don't know if it's at the direction of the 7-Eleven or just have a great subcontractor, but regardless, they're doing a great job and we appreciate it. And if you just send that message, I would appreciate it.
We certainly will. And we actually have a couple more 7-Elevens coming down the pike for you. And the other one has fueling stations there as well. So
And that's
we're trying to
appreciated
make
as well. But
progress.
this will be our first and only. So it's really important to the island. So
Yes,
I
sir.
appreciate it. Yep.
Any other questions by Councilor King?
No questions, but again, just to echo what the Vice Mayor said, thank you for listening and taking in that public input, and it's appreciated.
Yes.
Councilor Woodson?
Did all that because you did a great job on this and it's going to be a huge improvement, I think.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a great example of an entity working with the public I have not heard anybody that is opposed to this, so tells me you did a great job.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a great team. Yes.
Thanks. That's all. Public comment. Are there any members of the public who wish to comment on this matter? If so, please come forward to the podium and identify yourself, provide your address and whether you were sworn in. Any public comment? Seeing none, we'll close public comment. Are there any additional comments, rebuttal, or closing statements from the applicant? No? I will now close the public hearing and request a discussion or a motion from town council to approve with conditions, deny with reasons, or a continuance to a time certain.
I'll move ordinance 24-02 DCI rezoning 202-30160-1301 Estero Boulevard.
There's a motion by Councilor King,
Second.
seconded by Councilor Woodson. Any further discussion? There's a roll call vote. Councilor King,
Aye.
Councilor Woodson,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Adderholt,
Aye.
Mayor Allers is an aye. Motion carries unanimously. Congratulations. Thank you. We're going to take a quick 5-minute break and we'll come back at 8-minute break, 10:25. We now have our administrative agenda. The first up is Resolution 24-34, Box Modular. Who's taking that? Frankie?
So this is just a continuance of our trailer setup. We had to wait for the trailers to be delivered and joined before they would release the furniture for installation. This is a continuance of that. You'll also see, if you weigh in today, our ramping and all our decking has shown up as well. So we're well on our way to get all this stuff completed here within the next couple of days.
And this is just leased equipment, just like
That
trailer?
is correct. It's a 4-year lease for office desks and chairs and conference tables.
And there's a provision, just like trailers in the contract, should we find something else or build something else?
Yes, sir. We have all that built into the contract.
Okay. Any other questions for Frankie?
Mayor,
Yes.
would you like to read the title or?
Oh, do you want me, I can read. Okay.
Please.
It's Resolution 23-34, Box Modular, a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Fort Myers Beach, Florida, ratifying action by the town regarding leasing of furniture for use in Town Hall, approving the lease with Box Modular for 48 months at a monthly rate of $2,586 and a one-time installation and delivery fee of $11,050 and providing an effective date. Any questions for Frankie? Council Woodson?
None.
Vice Mayor Adult?
No.
Council King?
No.
All right. Is there a motion to approve or deny Resolution 23-34?
I'll move Resolution 24-34, Box Modular.
We have a motion by Councilor King,
Second.
seconded by Councilor Woodson. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries unanimously. Next is Resolution 23-34, ratifying renewal of an annual Grancious software subscription. The resolution of the Town of Fort Myers Beach ratifying the approval and payment of an annual Grancious, is it Grancious? Grancious software subscription for use with the town's short-term rental program pursuant to the terms and conditions of existing unexpired host agreement and providing for an effective date. Joe?
Good morning. I'm Joe Wanzik, Finance Director. This came about because I was copied on a final notice from the software company indicating that we were past due on the payment, but it was being sent to employees, staff who are no longer with the town, all of the original notices, and it wasn't until the final notice came that I was copied and became aware of it. So the reason why it hadn't been paid was we were unaware that this was needing to be paid, and due to the turnover in staff, it was something that fell through the cracks. So once we became aware of it and we understood the importance of it, this software is used to manage the short-term rental program. As far as we know, it's the only software like that that can do that or is able to do what it does for us. And so it's something that the town has been using for several years now. So we're recommending that this be approved so that we can pay that invoice.
I don't have any questions for this, but I do have a little bit of an issue with the fact that in every company I've ever worked at, if an employee leaves, their email address gets routed to somebody that can answer it. But we're not doing that?
Effectively, this all happened right after the storm, the changeover from fill-in management to the temporary management. And I think it just absolutely just fell through the cracks.
So we are doing that now?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Just want to make sure. So we're not having anything else pop up. Okay. Any questions for Joe? Councilor King?
I would just, the payment is coming from where and there is no late charge?
That's correct. There is no late charge. And it is being paid out of the short-term rental revenue that's come in. And I did look or ask that it be looked up, and the amount of revenue that's come in so far to date is $118,000. So it's more than enough to pay the invoice.
Thank you.
Vice Mayor Adderall?
No.
Councilor Woodson?
Exactly what does this software do?
Okay, I was hoping you wouldn't ask because I'm not that familiar with it. I
Well, I was trying to read it and it's like, for $40-some thousand, what does it do?
I wish somebody were here who actually uses it.
Actually, I might be able to help you a little
Frankie,
bit there.
thank
It basically tracks, you can log in and track active short-term rentals. And it keeps, it's like a clearinghouse. We know theoretically what we have out there and what's being rented at any given moment in our database here on the island. And at which time we can either go and check on those properties or not check on those properties, depending on where they sit status-wise.
Right.
Any other questions? Thanks, Joe. Is there a motion to approve or deny resolution 23-34?
So moved.
Motion by Counselor Woodson. I'll second. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries unanimously. Next is resolution 24-35, Angie Brewer and Associates, Inc., a resolution of the town of Fort Myers Beach approving a First Amendment to an agreement between the town of Fort Myers Beach and Angie Brewer Associates, Inc., to extend the term of the consultant agreement for funding management services for SRF and other grants and or loans available to the town to June 9th, 2024 by the exercise of one of two renewal options, approving supplement task authorization number 4 for the uninterrupted continuation of these services, authorizing the mayor to sign the amendment and the supplement task authorization and the town manager to expend budgeted funds provided for severability and providing for an effective date. Who's coming up for this one? Joe?
Joanzik, Director of Finance again. This was something else that had come to my attention. I have been just slowly getting more and more involved with this Tier 1 stormwater project in terms of the financial end of things. And then one of the last meetings, virtual meetings with Angie Brewer, it was revealed that they have been working without a contract for over a year, and they had not billed us for that period of time. And they had been providing services for the town for a number of years with the stormwater projects especially, and helping us administer the state revolving fund loan program. And they've been phenomenal to work with in terms of, like, on the finance side. They're always available for questions. They've had regular meetings, and I had no idea that they had not even been invoicing us. So once that was revealed, I know we needed to remedy this, and so that's what spurred all this into action. And so in researching it, we found out that their actual contract had expired, but there were the options to renew, like 2 1-year extensions. So we're going to, but what this will do is renew it for the first year, which would have started June 9th, I think, of 2023, and go all the way through June 9th of 2024. So that would be like the first part of this remedy. The second part would be to authorize a new supplemental task authorization, which would enable them to cover, to go back and bill us for the time that they have already, and services that they've already provided to the town, and take us all the way through June 9th of 2024. And so this will help make them whole and then continue their services. And as a staff member from the finance department, I do highly recommend them. They've been really incredible to work with.
Very good. Any questions for Joe? Go ahead.
Joe, this number, total cost of job, $183,225. That seems like a lot of money. Is some of that for past work?
Well, it is. It will be for past work. I mean, I think that
So what do we pay them annually then?
well, the last supplemental task authorization was for 157,000, I believe, which I'm not sure if it equates to an annual, but it's pretty close to it. It really depends on the volume of the stormwater loan that they're, and also drinking water loans that we're dealing with. We have a total of 4 loans. I think the total indebtedness is over 63 million, something like that. And they take care of all of the preparation of the reimbursement requests. They work very closely with these the service providers and their billing department in order to break out the things appropriately, so we can be requesting reimbursement from the the specific loan sources. They're very good about collecting the appropriate documentation that the state needs in terms of procurement and invoicing and approvals and authorizations and resolutions. So they do a lot of detail behind the scenes work. They organize the meetings with us, the town, but just to keep everything on track in terms of the financial side of things. So they do a lot of work.
I don't question the need for a firm like this. I think obviously the state revolving loan fund is a critical piece of our puzzle in terms of funding our infrastructure. I just wonder, I guess maybe you've answered it from your perspective, Joe, because you're handling the finance side, but Frankie and Andy, given your experience in our new new utilities director, $157,000 a year to liaison with the state revolving loan fund. I know it sounds like they serve almost a tidal basin type function, but does that seem, I know it's necessary, but does that seem like a reasonable price given your experience?
Absolutely, Vice Mayor. These people are providing metrics and developed a dashboard for us to follow. I was in the same meeting with Joe, second to none as far as what you need to see, where it's at, how it's being paid down, where it's being allocated, for what they're charging and what they're doing. It's a no-brainer, pardon the expression.
Just wanted to hear it from you guys.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
If I may, I could also just add that they were selected, Angie Brewer, as a result, piggybacking on a contract that was already agreed upon with Collier County, and they selected Angie Brewer through an RFP process. And so it was procured in a competitive procurement situation, and we're just taking advantage of what Collier County has already done and piggybacking on that.
Very good. Thank you, Joe.
Any other questions for Joe? Councilor King?
None.
Councilor Woodson?
No, thanks.
All right, thanks, Joe. Any further discussion? Is there a motion to approve or deny Resolution 23-34?
Mr. Mayor, I'll move approval of Resolution 24-35, Angie Brewer and Associates, Inc.
I think I might have said it backwards, so thank you. Got a motion by Vice Mayor Adderholt,
Second.
seconded by Councilor Woodson. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries unanimously. Final public comment. Anyone here like to say some final words? Seeing none, we'll close public comment. Town manager's items.
Thank you, Mayor. Just want to go back to the trailers. We fully anticipate the ramps and the catwalk and the steps to be put in hopefully in the next couple of weeks or less. We should be able to have our first meeting in March there at this point, pending something that we don't know is going to come down the road. But we have electricity. We're waiting on the transformer to be installed by FPL. The undergrounding of the conduit is being done today. So we've got a lot of inertia going with that project, and we really got to have our fingers crossed with the furniture and all that. So it still remains to be seen once we get the electricity permanently installed, but we can use the generator that we have, and it works just fine. So we'll be good to go. And as there was a video yesterday that I shared with the mayor that when I came to town hall to do a few things, and it was raining, and we had an absolute rainforest in there. So it was very, very concerning that we need to get our staff moved to a dry, safe place. So we're working diligently to get that accomplished. And of course, that will then start a dry season, so we won't have more rain. As you well know, that's the way things happen. Still working, recruiting actively the PIO position, interviewed people. We've kind of got a process we're going through where they submit, we give them a project and they submit to us. We just want to make sure we're doing all that we can to get the right person that can really fit that need that we all want. So that is getting closer. Some more interviews will be set up this week in my absence, but as I get back, we'll interview some more, probably the first part of next week, and get that hopefully closer to being resolved. The mayor, Frankie, and I went to Tallahassee last week. I feel like, and they can both speak for themselves, that it was very fruitful. We're working to get revenue replacement for the last 2 years, working to get some money for a new town hall. I think we were received very well in those requests and those meetings we had. The Senate president actually wasn't going to meet with us, just her busy schedule, but she took time to come in to meet with us, and we thought that was a really good sign, and we really appreciate her doing that, as well as working with all of our representatives in Tallahassee. This afternoon, the mayor, Frankie, and I will be heading to Washington to talk with U.S. senators and Congress about some funding that the town has never applied for. Stormwater, water projects related to potable water, and hopefully pressure on FEMA and pressure on the Army Corps of Engineers to help with dredging the canals. So it's just steps that really, as cities go through towns go through what we go through, we have to go out and push. I know the vice mayor's been in that atmosphere, and I've experienced this before, but it's really, one of those necessary evils, if you will, that we really need to go into the arena and, make those contacts and make our voice be heard. And we're actually, in kind of an odd way, I'm looking forward to traveling with these two guys, but I'm sure I'll regret it on Thursday evening. But that's kind of where we are. The Tier 1, the project, we've got a kickoff project next Wednesday, a meeting with a lot of the players and all of the stakeholders involved. So that's really a positive as we start getting really close to digging. And I'll turn it over to Frank and maybe Mark if they have any more comments.
So I had the pleasure of talking in front of Let's Go FMB last week. And just to reassure the people that when we originally had talked about Tier 1 and taking in all their concerns that they had about some of the streets, which groups they were going to fall into, the town's commitment to seeing this project through, we did initially try to kind of calm down some of those fears. I had the opportunity to reiterate our stance that we did listen to the people that are on Sterling, Seminole, Curlew, Bahia Via, Flamingo, all of our low-lying streets. And we have met with the vendor as well as Tetra Tech and had this all regrouped. And as soon as we get that information put back from Tetra Tech, which should be just any day now, we will be releasing that on the town site as well, along with the milestone timeline type arrangement so people can follow along. As I suggested when I talked to Let's Go FMB, not every street is going to require a complete dig up. They may just need certain things, a catch basin clean out, things like that. So whatever is going to happen on those streets, they're going to be well notified ahead of time. They're going to be notified on when the crew is going to be there, when the estimated time for completion of that particular area is going to be taking place. So communication is the key, and that's the way we try to do everything in this town, and we're not going to fall short on that as well. On another note, with the town attorney's help and us, our staff, we're currently working on a better solution to the unsafe structures that we have in the town. Also bringing into the conversation our building official. This will save the town not only time and money, but it'll expedite the process as well in the long run. So just a quick update on that.
Anything else, Andy? Either of you, it's a gift that keeps on giving, but have we received any update from Chris Powell and FPL on the delivery of these light poles?
Not yet. I know our Tier 1 contractor, Andrew's site work, they've started dropping things off, but we have not heard anything from FPL again. So we will continue. We have a meeting set up Friday with the regional vice president or someone like that that's coming to town.
So I know, see, you're out here, Dave, and you're if you can get between now and next Friday with the condo presidents to see which ones are still having an issue and give us that list so that when we're in front of the right people next week, we can make sure it gets addressed. Thanks. All right, town attorney items.
Oh, no items. Thank you.
None. Council items, members, council member items and reports. Council Woodson.
Just an update on the pier. Since I am the liaison for Let's Go FMB, I will be presenting our resolution of endorsement from the council. I'll be presenting that to the Lee County Commissioner meeting on tomorrow morning, Tuesday morning. And I've also just heard that I am presenting at the TDC meeting on Thursday on the same subject. So keep your fingers crossed for me. Any citizens out there that would also like to attend public comment tomorrow at the Lee County Commissioners meeting, I think the more we can talk, or the TDC meeting, that's at 9 o'clock on Thursday. Maybe we could even get that out on Andy there? Yeah. Maybe we could even get that out on when those two meetings are. Get that out on our website. That would be great. Thank you.
Vice Mayor Adderall,
I have nothing additional.
Councilor King,
Nothing.
and I have nothing. So that brings us to the filling of the vacancy for the seat. Nancy, we've talked about potentially, is everybody okay with hearing from those that are here who would like to come up and?
So just kind of an overview, based on direction that was given at the last town council meeting, staff moved forward with the advertising, received various applications. I believe there's 5 of them. The town clerk qualified them as eligible for appointment. And at that point, the item was brought back to you for further direction. It's your prerogative if you'd like to interview them today. If you want to interview them and take a vote at your next meeting, the choice is yours, because you don't have any specific guidelines to follow.
Well, I'll kind of defer to my colleagues here. Do you want to do, I would certainly like to hear from them. They've taken the time to come out and want to be part of the process. I don't know if I necessarily need to interview them. They've know most of them or I've read their resumes, but what's the will of the council? Do you want to do an interview type process or would you just prefer to hear from them?
I'm comfortable hearing from them.
I am as well. And I would also like to move forward on actually trying to make a choice today as well to keep
agree.
this moving.
I don't have a need to interview, but I would like to give them the opportunity to address the council and the public.
Okay. We'll go in the order that was on the agenda. James Bowen. Jim, you want to come up, say a few words?
Good morning. I'd like to thank the town council for giving the applicants a chance to address you directly this morning. The redevelopment of our island is a major issue and it's facing the council, but there are other issues as well. My experience and skill is different from the other applicants. I have more than 45 years of local government experience and public service. During that time, I have been a town administrator, an elected official, and a municipal attorney. I have substantial experience in public finance, contract administration, personnel management, insurance issues, and municipal litigation. The next few years will determine the island's future for the next decade. I would like to be part of the team that determines how we move forward as a community. I have the time, the interest, and the desire to meet the challenges facing the island as a town council member. Thank you for your consideration. I'm available for any questions.
Any questions for Jim? Thank you for your service and thank you for your service on the LPA. Barbara Hill?
Good morning, members of council. Barbara Hill. I am here really to answer any questions you may have. I believe my application and resume plus my interview, because thank you to Ed Ryan for allowing me that opportunity. Kind of speaks to the interest that I have in filling the vacancy and working with all of you as a team. The island deserves a great look at this point at our crucial time of the rebuild after Hurricane Ian. And I would hope that my leadership skills and my experience and my history with the town would be best served for the community. Thank you.
Thanks, Barbara. Any questions for Barbara? Thank you for all you do, Barbara.
Thank you.
Salvador Padone. Hope I said your last name correct. Padone? I bet it. I figured it was.
But it's been Americanized, so it's Padone now. Quite simple. Everybody somewhat knows me. I've been around this island and living here for 27 years. I bought my first home in the year 2000, so I have been an adequate taxpayer for quite a few years. My love for the island is beyond belief. I came here. I didn't want to come here first, but once I got here, I wasn't leaving. I would like to, I do bring, and I haven't touched a lot about my experience, but I do have a vast array of experience in many different fields. Very professional, very high end. I'm not just hardware man for people that know me as hardware man. I would like to contribute some of my talent in some way, shape, or form. This time is right for me because my personal situation has opened up time where I'm retired now, and I feel like I can contribute to the community, which I have always wanted to do and have done in many volunteer capacities. I feel that I could tackle any problems and certainly put forth an effort to analyze anything that comes before this town in the future. We have a blank canvas. I would like to be a part of the new painting of our beach and keep it the family atmosphere. And the reason why people come to our island, which is of big importance to me because they come here because it's a family island. And one thing I would like to point out is our greatest asset is our people. We have probably the friendliest island on the coast of Florida. I would like to be a part of bringing it back. And if I could umpire in the Little League for 8 years, I think I could deal with a lot of people and personalities. And I thank you very much.
Any questions for,
Oh,
you
yeah,
prefer
I'm sorry.
Sal or
Yes, yeah,
Salvatore?
I'll take any questions you want to give me.
You prefer Salvatore or Sal?
I like Sal. I mean,
Sal?
people
All
call me Salvatore, but they tend to confuse me with the Latino element, which is pronounced Salvador with a D.
Yeah.
I'm Salvatore, and but I do prefer to be called Sal. I'm very casual and I'm very easy to talk to.
All right. Any questions for Sal? Thanks,
And I
sir.
would care to, I can extend to you on a personal level, anybody that wants to question my background. I haven't really spent a lot of time trying to get that through to people. I just want to let people know that I love you all, and I've always loved council and always supported council, and I'm here for the long run.
All
Thank
right,
you very
thanks,
much.
Sal. Scott Safford? Don't see him out there. Edward Schoonover. Come on up. Edward or Ed? It's okay.
It's Ed, Dan.
What's that?
It's Ed.
Ed, just
And
making
it's,
sure.
and it's Schoonover.
What did I say? Schoonover?
Yeah, yeah.
Uh-huh.
I'm not gonna read my resume to you. I've talked to all of you. I told Ed Ryan exactly how I feel. I've really got nothing more to add to that. So I'll just wait for any questions.
Any questions for Ed?
Thank you.
Doesn't look like it. Thanks, Ed. So do you want to do like we do with every other committee? Do we have forms for that, or how do you want to proceed?
Ballot printed.
So again, it's at your discretion how you would like to handle this. Perhaps someone could make a nomination. And if it's seconded, then
Do
you
it that
can
way, okay.
proceed that way.
Okay.
The motion would be to appoint whoever, the name of the individual to serve the remainder of Bill Beach's term.
Okay. Does anybody anybody like to make a?
I thought you just said we were going to do it like we did the advisory committee.
We can do it that way if that's if
You
that's
can
what
do
you
it that
prefer.
way if you prefer.
Okay.
It's open to your discretion.
It's going to take a minute to make up a couple of
Can I I just rip some pages for you?
I don't have an issue with that. If,
Perfect.
Got it.
and I think for the sake, do you have to write the whole names or just, can we go off? Does everybody have a copy of the packet of how they're listed in order? And make the selection based on the number, or do you want to do the actual,
You just went by the order, didn't you?
yeah, the order in
So
the, it's in the
James
packet,
Bond,
the
Barbara
attachment.
Hill,
Yep.
Sal,
Sal, Scott, and then
Scott,
Ed.
and Ed.
Put your name on it.
Okay. Well, here, I got two, I think.
Yeah. Okay. There you go.
So like advisory, first, second, third, lowest.
Or do you want, just put the number of the person that you want and then, or do you want to like rank them
Or do you rank them, or how do we do?
I think just put the number of the person that, and
Okay.
then we'll, if it.
The number as the name,
Then we'll put the name
Yeah.
and number.
the name and the number.
Okay,
And if there's a majority, then that would be the individual you would appoint.
okay.
So we're just putting one name down, correct?
Yeah. If we, and Ed, your name's in here actually is Esward, Esward. She was funny. She cracked me up. Yeah.
Feel free to talk about anything for the.
Talk about anything? Okay, well, anybody have anything they'd like to discuss while Amy's talking, calculating?
Is there a reason
Andy?
you didn't shave today?
Yeah. We don't want to go into it, but
Sorry.
jeez, I was expecting donuts. When I heard donuts weren't coming in.
Okay, so we do it again.
Okay, so we have 4 ballots. We have Ed. We have Jim. I'll just use first names. We have Scott and Scott. So Scott's received 2 votes. However, 2 is not a majority of 4. So this ballot, there's not a majority appointing Scott, so we would have to take another ballot. Or you can wait till the next meeting and do this again at that point. It's whatever your prerogative is.
Well, I think we try it again. and
Okay.
see.
All right.
Paper's getting smaller now.
Yeah. Folded it a different way.
Okay, so we have 1 vote for Ed. Jim, Scott, and Scott.
Seems like it's gonna be, we could do this all day.
I would think a public interview at some point would probably ask some questions to get some responses. Maybe that,
You mean open to the public to ask questions?
or just you. That'd be whatever the attorney advised, though. Because you're right, it could keep going.
It very well could.
So you could bring it, you can ask, I agree with the town manager, you can ask additional questions. You can talk among yourselves.
We can talk among ourselves
among yourselves, yes, or discuss why perhaps,
in public, though, you mean?
yes.
Yes, I think she meant today. I'm assuming you meant today.
Well, the other thing is, Scott did receive votes on both ballots, and he was not here today. It might be
He's here now.
beneficial for him.
Oh, didn't see him come in.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Hi.
He just got-
So if you'd like to hear from him, because you did not hear from him earlier, that might help.
Come on up, Scott.
Hello, good morning. I apologize for being late. For the record, Scott Safford, 189 Sable Drive. I want to thank you guys for consideration of the open vacancy. Also want to thank the other candidates that brought their names forward. I think it's very, it's very telling that this is a really important position, and I think it's great that a lot of people applied. The next 10 months are going to be critical for our rebirth, our phoenix of this island. Several big things are coming through: the comprehensive plan, possible developmental deviations, and maybe some tweaking to the LDC. And I think with my experience on the LPA the last 8 years, I think I can hit the ground running and, really help you guys. I've also was part of the LPA process during the Margaritaville CPD, and I think that experience will help greatly as well. So I want to thank you for your consideration.
Questions for Scott? Anyone? All right, well, I'll try it again.
Okay.
We'll try it one more time, and if it doesn't, nothing changes, then we'll
We'll
ask.
just hold it for another meeting. We'll take direction from you if you want to ask for additional applicants. I mean, it's really your prerogative.
Well, what is it, is everybody okay with trying one more
Since
time
it's
and if nothing changes? We could be here all day if, which I don't think any of us want to do. Anyone have any input?
I think we try it one more time.
Okay. Everyone okay with that?
Certainly.
Okay. Paper stayed the same size. Oh, ballot thing, huh? Try it again.
So we have a vote for Ed. We have a vote for Scott. We have a vote for Scott. And we have a vote for Jim.
So nothing changed.
So that was our third round.
Okay, so when is the next meeting? Is it the 20?
There's an M&P between now and the 20th.
Oh, it's on the 15th, right?
MLP is the 15th
20th.
and 20th is the next town council.
Tuesday.
Yeah.
You have to call a special meeting.
We could advertise a special meeting and then you could take action. If you so choose, if not. we just
Because it can't be at an
carry
M&P, right?
It would be a separate, special meeting.
On the
Okay.
same
On
day.
M&P day.
On M. Oh, I got you. I got you. Any thoughts on that, Vice Mayor?
I'm open for either the M&P or the next council meeting.
Counselor King?
I'll agree with the Vice Mayor.
Counselor Woodson?
We couldn't hear down here. I apologize. The motion.
There's the two people have been in favor so far at the next M&P, at either one, I believe is what you both said.
Correct.
I guess it would whatever, I'd be, whatever is easiest on the staff. If you got enough time to do it for the 15th, so be it. If not, then the 22nd.
Okay. Thank you.
20th.
Or 20th, sorry.
20th. So if we did it on the 20th, would it be at the beginning or at the end? Would it be something that if we came to agreement, if it was at the beginning, they could come right in so we don't lose any more time, or?
The only twist would be in the event there were quasi judicial matters, they would have to be have had the opportunity to review those before they actually were appointed and then sworn in and voted on the matter. They would have to go through that.
So we didn't have any first readings today on quasi judicial, correct? So it wouldn't be like a situation like today where we had 2 second readings.
Correct. But if there were a first reading, they would have to be, they would have had to review the agenda packet and be ready to make a decision so they can make an informed decision based on the information in the packet concerning that quasi judicial first reading.
Right, which is public, so they could pull it off the website just like anybody else and be prepared, correct?
It is possible.
If you want to read those 600
It
pages,
is
get a taste
possible.
of
We
it.
would just have to make sure that the record reflects that they did have the opportunity to reflect the information in the record. So the other option you have, and it's just an option, I'm not advocating, is to ask for additional applicants to come forward. It's an option, or to leave the seat vacant. However, the motion is to schedule it to the for the either a special meeting or the next town council.
What if we did the special meeting before or after the M&P meeting? Then they could be ready for the next meeting on the 22nd.
That would work. 20th.
Or
That would be-
20th. I keep saying
that would be
22nd.
Very orderly. That would be a good.
Is everybody okay with that? All right. You need a motion, or is the direction?
I would say a motion would be appropriate.
Well, is there anyone that would like to have more people put their name in should they choose? Or are you happy with the 5 that have submitted? I'm okay either way.
I don't think there's a need for additional applicants. We've got a good pool of applicants.
Okay.
That's my opinion.
Now I'll make a motion to bring this back for a special meeting. You want it before or after the M&P?
What is council's
I
prerogative? What
I
do you
think maybe
prefer?
after might be a better.
Okay. Well, I'll make a motion to schedule a special meeting after the M&P meeting on the 15th with the 5 applicants that have already applied.
I'll second.
And the meeting is to appoint them and have it effective that swearing them in also at that time.
I thought we were going to do that on the 22nd.
Okay, that
Not the
just
22nd.
clarify.
The 20th, sorry.
We can't hear very well down here, so
Why do
I
keep saying the
apologize.
22nd?
We
Must be
got it.
Something on my calendar. I keep saying the 22nd.
Well, if we swore them in though on the 15th, then there would be no question of being prepped for the council meeting
I got
on the
no problem.
20th.
Okay, I've got no problem with that.
Okay, thank you.
You got it. Is there anything else?
No.
There a motion to adjourn?
Do we need to?
We-
We have a
we
vote.
didn't-
We didn't vote on the motion.
We didn't vote
So
on
we
it?
had a motion and a second.
God, Rain's
We
getting
were
me.
clarifying what the motion.
So we got a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion?